Whether the Unitarian Church of Evanston is your spiritual home, or you are seeking comfort and connection in uncertain times, we are grateful you are with us. We are an inclusive and welcoming community seeking truth and love and striving to nurture the human spirit for a world made whole. We are guided by our principles and values, which remind us in every moment and through every challenge that each of us matters and that we are all connected through the vast and beautiful web of existence. Together, let us remember our oneness, our kinship with one another, and may we hold one another in heart and mind with tenderness and careful attention. There are many links of connection in the comments section, including credits for the readings and information about today's musical pieces, to virtual religious education, for donations, and to be added to our email newsletter list. Welcome to this morning's service, the beauty and promise of our earth and its inhabitants, our celebration of our wonderful earth and our Soul Matters theme of becoming. I'm Vickie Hellyer, the Director of Music at UCE, and this is our second online UCE music service. The choristers and Gregory have recorded 3 virtual choir videos. Thank you all, and thank you, Adam. And Gregory and guest musicians have recorded a special piece in addition to those. Today's readers are all members of the worship arts team, and the dancers are congregants who volunteered to do this. I'm grateful to all who have contributed to this service through the worship planning playdates and the worship arts team meetings. And I'm grateful to Eileen for her input throughout this process of putting this service together. And now, here are this morning's announcements. We'll hold a virtual coffee and conversation after the service for 30 minutes on Zoom. You can find the link in the comments below or from the newsletter. The all-church Zoom meeting will be on Wednesdays at 5:30. We'll send a reminder email in the early afternoon on Wednesday with the link. On Earth Day, next Thursday, April 22nd, join the UCE Green Team for our annual Earth Day celebration, Healthy Planet, Healthy People. Tune into the YouTube live stream for the citywide youth-led event, including poetry, music, speakers, including the present and incoming mayors of Evanston, and more. The link is available on our YouTube channel, homepage, and in the newsletter. Peter Mayer, celebrated folk singer and songwriter, joins UCE's Green Team for a special virtual concert on Saturday, April 24th at 7 p.m. Proceeds from the concert benefit The Talking Farm, a local Evanston initiative that helps people learn to farm, grow, harvest, and eat their own food. Tickets are $20 per person and can be purchased through the Eventbrite link in the description of today's service or in the newsletter. Please join us in celebrating Earth and Spring with a joyous night of music. Let us take a collective breath together next Sunday, April 25th at 10 a.m. Instead of our usual 11:15 a.m. service, UCE will join 24 Unitarian Universalist congregations across Illinois, the UU Advocacy Network, and UU Prison Ministries in a collective service, UU Justice Revival, taking a collective breath. The service link will be available on the UCE homepage and in the newsletter. And again, that service next Sunday will be at 10 a.m. Join in on the fun May 22nd, rain date May 29th, from 10 till 2 for our first ever UCE parking lot pop-up sale. This is an important fundraising event for UCE and is guaranteed to be fun for our congregants of all ages. Proceeds from the sale will benefit UCE in lieu of our regular annual rummage sale. Please sign up for a table today. You may contact Sandra Robinson at srobinson@ucevanston.org with questions and for more information. And now I invite you to get your chalices ready. Set a place for yourself and your family as we join in beloved community.
Our opening reading was written in 1990 for the UN Environmental Sabbath Program.
Please join me in responding, "We join with the earth and with each other." We join with the earth and with each other.
To bring new life to the land, to restore the waters, to refresh the air.
We join with the earth and with each other.
To renew the forests, to care for the plants, to protect the creatures.
We join with the earth and with each other.
To celebrate the seas, to rejoice in the sunlight, to sing the song of the stars.
We join with the earth and with each other.
To recreate the human community, to promote justice and peace, to remember our children.
We join with the earth and with each other.
We join together as many and diverse expressions of one loving mystery for the healing of the earth and the renewal of all life. We join with the earth and with each other. Welcome to worship. Our introit is a dedication by Leah Morris, who has been a guest musician and presenter for UCE this past year. Leah said of this song that it was written for her CD, Promise, which bridged the gap between her Baptist atheist parents. In 2020, it felt important to reframe the message with an awareness that the U.S. and our White House belong to the people. It also evokes a dedication to the home we shared with all beings, the earth.
As for me and my house, you will find us serving peace. As for me and my house, you will find us serving peace. As for me and my house, you will find us serving peace. Peace for all right now. As for me and my house, you will find us serving peace. As for me and my house, you will find us serving peace. As for me and my house, you will find us serving peace. Peace for all right now. As for me and my house, you will find us serving truth. As for me and my house, you will find us serving truth. As for me and my house, you will find us serving truth. Truth for all right now. As for me and my house, you will find us serving love. As for me and my house, you will find us serving love. As for me and my house, you will find us serving love. Love for all right now. As for me and my house, you will find us serving hope. As for me and my house, you will find us serving hope. As for me and my house, you will find us serving hope. Hope for all right now. As for me and my house, you will find us serving joy. As for me and my house, you will find us serving joy. As for me and my house, you will find us serving joy. Joy for all right now. Let there be love for all right now. Let's speak the truth for all right now. Let there be peace for all right now.
We light this chalice in northern Illinois, on the traditional homelands of the Council of the Three Fires, the Odawa, Ojibwe, and Potawatomi nations. Many other tribes, such as the Miami, Menominee, Ho-Chunk, Sac, and Fox also call this area home. We name these in honor and respect. Please join in saying these words, an excerpt from an Ojibwe prayer. O Great Spirit, whose voice I hear in the winds and whose breath gives life to everyone, hear me. Let me walk in beauty and make my eyes ever behold the red and purple sunset. Make my hands respect the things you have made, and make my ears sharp so I may hear your voice. Make me wise so that I may understand what you have taught my people and the lessons you have hidden in each leaf and each rock.
Please join in saying the words of our covenant, written by Reverend James Villa Blake, our first minister, in 1894. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Please join in singing this hymn, led by Rob Geiger, written by Kenneth L. Patton, a Unitarian Universalist minister who served congregations in Illinois, Wisconsin, Massachusetts, and New Jersey. The tune, written by William Albright, was commissioned by Trinity Church, New York, in 1973.
The earth is home and all abundant, source of what was before we were, and will be till all life unending, the final seed shakes in its birth. She is our friend, our ancient mother, her fate and all her ways are ours. Each atom proves our common journey, bred as we were of dust and stars. We suckle from the fountain tiring, we children born of earth's desiring, for we and all our forward yearning are yet a spark in nature's burning.
Today's Time for All Ages is Thank You Earth, a love letter to our planet, written by April Pulley Sayre. Dear Earth, thank you for water and those that float, for slippery seaweed and stone. Thank you for mountains and minerals that strengthen bills and bone. Thank you for air, even fishy whale breath. Thank you for colors and coastlines and beach. Thank you for tiny and towering. For trees and vines that reach. Thank you for curves and prickles and parallels. For patterns, all shapes that repeat. Thank you for leaves and stems and buds, for plant parts we can eat. Thank you for sounds and storms and seasons, for struggles. And pale in-betweens. Thank you for rays and radials and overlapping greens. Thank you for jumbles, ingredients for soil, and bright new growth in spring. Thank you for those that crawl, yes, all, even for those that sting. Thank you for sunsets. That's pretty. For sky room for birds, for edges eyes can roam. Thank you for beginnings, for endings, for lifetimes. Thank you for being our home. The end.
The next song is one that we all know, and we know all the words to it. It's the earth, the air, the fire, the water. And Reverend Eileen asked for some movement to go with it. So you're going to see Claudia holding the earth, and then I'm air. This is actually sign language for wind. And then the fire. Lisa shows you the fire flames, and that again is sign language for fire. And then Lizzie is the water. Return, 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 return. So we invite you to listen to the 4 beautiful verses sung by Corinna, and in between each verse, we get to hug ourselves. And imagine maybe even hugging the earth, because this is Earth Month.
The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. Aye, aye, the earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, return, return.
Good morning. In beloved community, we share the joys and sorrows of our lives. And together, with care, we expand our celebrations and lessen the burden of our grief. These are the joys and sorrows that have been submitted through the Google form found on the homepage of our website or emailed directly to me. Lorna Gaelic had a fall this week and injured her back. She is receiving care at Evanston Hospital and will be home soon on the mend. Caring cards and well wishes are appreciated. From Harry Hirsch, earlier this week, my heart pacemaker had been adjusted, but then I began having shortness of breath and dizziness. My blood pressure went down. I took a trip to the ER where a great doctor was able to put the pacemaker back in order, and I am singing and dancing again. Good to hear, Harry. Janelle Britton wrote, "My wonderful love buddy Fillmore went to kitty heaven last Wednesday. We had a wonderfully happy and supportive 20-year relationship. He is very much missed." Kathy Underwood shares a sorrow and a joy. Today would have been my dad's 86th birthday, so I'm thinking of him. My joy is that my mom is back home now and doing pretty well. She will resume chemotherapy next week. Jordan Struber writes, "Many of you know that I have been having some health issues and I finally have a diagnosis. The less than ideal part of that is that it is endometriosis, which is a very gendered diagnosis for a non-binary person to have. The more ideal part is that there is a medication I can take that may help resolve my pain and nausea and prevent the need for surgical interventions. I start that medication today. Please hold me in your thoughts as I embark on the next step of this journey, and thank you to everyone for the thoughts and support so far along my way." Holding you in love and care, Jordan and Kathy, Janelle, Harry, and Lorna. We know that these are not the only joys and sorrows that are on our hearts. And so let us take a moment of quiet now to read to ourselves the joys and sorrows that have been added to the chat. And I invite you to say aloud the names of those who you are holding in your heart, those who are sick or have died, as we let their names gather on the winds to be held in this community that knows no walls. For Adam Toledo in Chicago, for Dante Wright in Minneapolis, for the 8 people killed in Indianapolis, 4 of them members of the Sikh community, for all those awaiting justice and accountability for George Floyd, knowing that no decision will reclaim his life. For these and for all who are suffering, we pray for peace. I invite you to join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation. This is Eagle Poem by Joy Harjo, U.S. Poet Laureate and member of the Muskogee Nation. To pray, you open your whole self to sky, to earth, to sun, to moon, to one whole voice that is you. And know there is more than you can't see, can't hear, can't know except in moments steadily growing and in languages that aren't always sound but other circles of motion. Like eagle that Sunday morning over Salt River, circled in blue sky, in wind, swept our hearts clean with sacred wings. We see you, see ourselves, and know that we must take the utmost care and kindness in all things. Breathe in, knowing we are made of all this. And breathe, knowing we are truly blessed because we were born, and die soon within a true circle of motion. Like eagle rounding out the morning inside us, we pray that it will be done in beauty. In beauty.
UCE remains a vital part of the world and of our community. And because we continue to need each other in the blessings of community, we invite you now to give to our shared plate. Today's offering will be shared with Restore Justice, whose mission it is to support advocates, conduct research, nurture partnerships, and develop policy solutions that will roll back the tough-on-crime policies of the past and replace them with compassionate, smart, and safe policies for the future. You can text to give, mail a check, or give from our website. If you mail a check, please indicate in the memo line whether it is for the shared offering, your pledge, capital campaign, or some other giving. And please give as generously as you can, and may what you give bring you joy.
Our first reading is Morning Poem by Mary Oliver. It is only fitting that we honor Mary Oliver during National Poetry Month and in our celebration of Earth Day. Some would claim her as the Unitarian Universalist Poet Laureate. Known for her evocative imagery rooted in her observations of the natural world, Mary Oliver articulates and helps us know more intimately our interconnection and love of the world. Morning Poem. Every morning, the world is created. Under the orange sticks of the sun, the heaped ashes of the night turn into leaves again and fasten themselves to the high branches. And the ponds appear like black cloth on which are painted islands of summer lilies. If it is your nature to be happy, you will swim along the soft trails for hours, your imagination alighting everywhere. And if your spirit carries in it the thorn that is heavier than lead, if it's all you can do to keep on trudging, there is still somewhere deep within you a beast shouting that the earth is exactly what it wanted. Each pond with its blazing lilies is a prayer heard and answered lavishly. Every morning, whether or not you have ever dared to be happy, whether or not you have ever dared to pray.
Our second reading is Eskimo Song, also known as the Great Sea, and the Song of Uvevnuk. Uvevnuk was an Inuit woman born in the 19th century, now considered to be an oral poet. Her poem was written down by a European explorer and anthropologist, Knud Rasmussen. As Joan Halifax describes in Shamanic Voices, Uvevnuk achieved her great power in one extraordinarily dramatic instant, and her great power was used only to help her people. This was her song. The great sea has set me in motion, set me adrift, as I move as a weed in the river. The arc of the sky and mightiness of storms encompass me, and I am left trembling with joy.
When the waves roll up over the waters and the ocean cries,
We look to our sons and daughters to explain our lives,
as if a child could tell us why.
And sure as the sunrise, sure as the sea, sure as the wind in the trees, we rise again in the faces of our children. We rise again in the voices of our song. We rise again in the waves out on the ocean. And then we rise again.
When the light goes dark with the forces of creation across a stormy sky,
We look to regeneration to explain our lives,
as if a child could tell us why.
sure as the sunrise, sure as the sea,
Fantastic. Our anthem, We Rise Again, was written by Canadian actor Leanne Dubinsky as a song of resilience and hope in the midst of economic crises on Cape Breton Island in Nova Scotia, home of the Mi'kmaq Nation. With its uplifting message, this song is often sung by church choirs, and it was so wonderful to hear our choir sing it together virtually today. Fun fact, John Siegel made measurements of the acoustics of the UCE sanctuary, and that measurement was used by Adam in the virtual choir recordings to simulate the UCE choir performing in our sanctuary. Well beyond my understanding how that works, but thank you, John, and thank you to Vickie Hellyer, our expert music director, for your love, your hard work, and your generous spirit to make this service so powerful and beautiful. Thank you to Gregory Shifrin, our gifted pianist, and Adam Goff for putting it all together. Thank you to every single voice and body who contributed to this celebration of music and of the earth. I am deeply grateful for the ways we have adapted and have demonstrated our resilience as a community so that we can continue to worship together in such fullness. Music is a portal to joy. It gives us access to new insights, changes the chemistry of our brains, and it helps us make neural connections. It also connects us to one another. Dancing in partnership, we share a common rhythm. Singing in unison, we feel a common vibration that joins us more primally than any other language. Music helps us through all kinds of crises. It allows us to access our emotions more deeply, to feel and express them and move through them. Music enables us to be present to ourselves and to each other. A side effect of this pandemic is the feeling of disconnection from each other and from our own bodies. Living our lives from the neck up, as many of us have this year, seeing for the most part only the head and shoulders of one another for a whole year, can lead to disembodiment, disassociation from our feelings, and in turn from the feelings of others. Without being fully present, inhabiting our bodies, feeling the joy and the pain, we cannot fully empathize with the triumph and struggle of another and to know it as our own. Compassion means we feel with one another. To be compassionate, we must be able to be fully present to the feelings, the senses of our own bodies so that we can feel with one another. In a recent article published through the Alban Institute, Nathan Kirkpatrick, Managing Director of Leadership Education at Duke Divinity, shares an insight gained in conversation. When we return, we will all be newcomers, meaning when we come back to our buildings, to being physically with people in common spaces, we will all feel like newcomers needing to practice radical hospitality with each other. As we return to our bodies in the presence of other bodies, we will all need to adjust to being proximate, reacquainting ourselves with our lived and present experience. On the worship arts team and in our worship planning playdates, we talk a lot about embodied worship. The idea that powerful and transformative experiences in worship involve all of our senses, or as many as possible. When we experience something together, smelling, tasting, touching, hearing, and seeing, it has a deep impact and it stays with us for a long time. Our senses help us learn, nourish our spirits, cherish our memories, and deepen our commitment to action. Being present in our bodies means holding grief, fear, anger, and anxiety, as well as joy and pleasure. It means feeling warm water flow over our hands while we're washing dishes. It means feeling the air on our skin as we move and dance. It means feeling the ground underneath our feet. It means holding the fire of commitment, a steady ember that fuels our struggle for justice. It means looking into each other's faces on the screen and breathing in together. It means stopping everything else when we can and being fully present to listen to one another. In our compounded and collective grief, it can take everything we've got to stay present without numbing, avoiding, or diverting pain or discomfort. There is so much pain that it is not possible to hold it all, not alone. The pain of more than 3 million people around the globe lost to COVID-19, disproportionately those who are poor, Black, brown, and indigenous. At least one mass shooting a day, too often acts of hate against people of color, the senseless murders of young Black and brown lives by police, including Adam Toledo here in Chicago. It is natural to want to numb ourselves. If you are a person at the front lines of the struggle for liberation, doing all you can to survive, I pray you know you are not alone. If you are a person with the privilege to forget a while the suffering of others, please do not let your numbness keep you immobilized. It is incumbent upon those of us with identities that have dominated to push against the urge to be comfortable in a world that is so filled with oppression and hate and harm. It is the job of those with white, cis, hetero, able-bodied, and/or class privilege to side with those who are marginalized, to pay attention and interrupt oppression. I am realizing that this requires being present in our bodies. I am recognizing how hard it is for me to stay present in my body in the midst of my own and another's discomfort. As a woman socialized and identifying as white, I have been conditioned to attend to the comfort of others, especially other white people, at the cost of my own internal awareness. It keeps me from being responsive to the harm that happens in my presence. Universalism reminds me that my well-being is not complete until everyone is well and safe and seen as whole. Liberation can only be collective, all of us free or none of us free. Being in our bodies, present in the moment, is our first act of collective liberation. Justice must be rooted in and emanate from our bodies. Being in our bodies means remembering that we are part of a larger whole, that we are interconnected to all beings and to the earth, the air, the fire, and the water. To be embodied means we will continue to struggle, to rise again and again in compassion, with joy, knowing our liberation is truly bound to one another and to the resilience of the earth, not just in theory, but as an active and accountable reality. Let us practice being present in our bodies through music, dance, poetry, and art, to the joy and the beauty of this life, as well as the discomfort, the pain, and the sorrow. Let us hold in gratitude the moments of peace, along with the grief we must carry with one another. I conclude with a few lines of a crowdsourced poem collected and compiled by NPR's resident poet Kwame Alexander, titled, "I Am a Witness to Change." You can find a link to the whole poem in the Show More section below. Today, I will ferry you across the troubled waters, hold you close in any way you crave. Today, I think not only of the cold ignorance of man, but the small ember of warmth we transfer when we love. Today, I rise. Today, we will persevere. May it be so.
As we extinguish the chalice, please join in saying these words. Though the flame is extinguished, we carry with us the warmth of community, the light of truth, and the fire of commitment, until we are together again.
lonely, lonely, I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean. Still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now. Never a harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home.
I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
Let us go out into the world, fully present in our bodies as inhabitants of this beautiful earth, fully present to the joy and sorrow of one another, and fully embodying a world made whole. Go making peace, beloveds.